Welcome along to the Spearo Diaries podcast with Elise and Laura, two mermaids chatting about spearfishing and ocean adventures. Once again, we put ourselves in the hot seat, a chance for you to get to know your hosts. In this episode, we talk to Spearotual Mermaid and badass battler Laura Kuggeleijn. Full disclosure, we aren't experts or instructors. We're both fairly new to the sport, and we're here wanting to capture the stories of people who love the Spearo lifestyle just as much as we do. We hope you enjoy the chat, and if you do, please chuck us a message on Instagram and let us know what you think of the podcast. Okay, so welcome to today's podcast. We have got the beautiful Laura with us today. Last week you got to know all about me, and this week you get to know all about Laura, aka Spearotual Mermaid. She is the biggest frother that I know, and she's got a huge love of fish, huge love of crystals. Yeah,
Here we go.
She's probably the best friend that you can ever have, and yeah, I'm absolutely pumped to go diving with her. So welcome, Laura. Welcome.
Hello. Feel like my intro I did for you on the last episode just wasn't as beaming as that, but yes, appreciate it. Nice, cool.
Oh, don't worry, I felt like you talked about me a lot last time in such a nice way, but now it's your turn. Your time to shine. So Laura, you have been diving for a little while now. You're still pretty new to it, but I feel like you've been a hunter for a lot longer. So if you think back, how did your spearfishing journey first begin?
I reckon technically going eeling with my dad when I was a kid probably counts as like my entry to spearfishing.
Awesome.
We used to do the old, get a piece of wood and chuck a few nails on the end of it, and away you went going eeling in the creek. Good times.
For some reason, the idea of that is just so brutal, but we also just get a longer piece of wood or aluminium with a spike on the end, and we do it to fish. So,
exactly. And I thought, I was thinking about getting into spearfishing is definitely new to me, but I grew up going deer stalking with my dad and going hunting, and so I guess the hunting part of it of spearfishing is similar to things I've done growing up, but the actual spearfishing, it's a new thing to me. Less than 2 years, I was in a new phase of my life, and I was looking for, something that was ocean related, that would kind of fill that passion that I had. I had spent most of my life pre-spearfishing, obsessed with flat water rowing and surfboat rowing through surf lifesaving from 13 or something up until 30 something, which is my whole life.
Cool.
And at the time of discovering spearfishing, I was just feeling like I lacked having that. I lacked having the crew and the people and the community. I lacked that connection to the ocean. I was like, something is missing in my life. I'm not having that same feeling that I used to have when I was on the water all the time for surfboats, by the beach, or on the water for flat water rowing when I was younger. And I stumbled across, through different friends and different connections, and moving to Auckland, I stumbled across a freediving group, spearfishing training group, and some people that were super into spearfishing, and you being one of them. And it's all just kind of been this big, amazing, glorious blur of adventure and figuring out what spearfishing was and who spearos were and all that lingo and all the excitement and all of these different things that I'm still very much learning and new to, but it's weird because it's just I've got, how did I get into spearfishing? It's almost like it's become so much a part of my life and my place and my people, and I feel so in it that I can't remember not doing it. But then I actually on a timeline go, it's only been less than 2 years. But I can't imagine not doing it now, so it feels like it's been forever.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cheesy, but
no, that's good.
Then,
it's
technically, my first actual dive, that kind of ignited that whole, yes, this is something I want to be doing with every spare weekend and moment that I have. You were there.
Yes.
You took me to T Point, one of the Auckland hotspots for our wee shory, and I'd just been off to buy my my Kai Huntress kit or whatever, where you go and get like the kit set, like fins and suit and all that kind of stuff to start out spearing. And off we went to T Point, and we get in there, and I didn't have a gun at the time. I remember you being like, here, like...
We shared a gun, didn't we?
Yeah, we shared a gun, which we were talking about as like safer and stuff, which I totally think now looking back, that's probably a good idea.
We made a good call.
And you were kind of like, oh, here, just go down, like, hold your breath, go down and just have a shot of the gun. I can't remember where you said something like, just aim at something.
What it's like to shoot
feel
the
what
gun.
it's like to shoot it. Like, there was no fish around. Now knowing what I know about T-Point, it was dead. I was like, yeah, sweet, cool, I'll go down and see what this is all about. And I see this weird little boggly-eyed fish that I'd like never seen. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, there's a fish. Like, this is what we're doing. We shoot the fish. So I aim at this weird little boggly-eyed creature. I shoot it. I get it. I was like, this is a good time. I was all excited. I come up to the surface, like pumped as to tell you about it. And I just sort of look at you, and you're kind of just like, you're looking, but you weren't like, you didn't seem that excited. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just look at you, and I was like,
terrible, buddy.
I got a fish. You remember this, eh? And I was like, I got a fish.
And I was like, no, you didn't.
You were straight up like, no, you didn't. And I was like, well, nah, yeah, I did look. And you just like stick your face in the water, and you're like, oh, come back up. You're like, oh, yeah, you did get a fish. And then you kind of like got to look excited for me. Or little did I know that a leather jacket.
And you were so offended. You were like, oh my God, did she not see me get that fish?
Yeah, I've gone from like super stoked, wondering why you weren't stoked. Then you're excited with me, and then I find out the leather jacket's not even that great a fish. So
we can't dismiss the leather jacket.
But for me, that
so
was it.
proud of
I
you.
was like, first shot, first time holding a gun. I got my leather jacket. I didn't know what it was, how to cook it. I didn't know how to gut its little tiny body.
To be fair, she cooked it really well, and actually it's the most proud I've ever seen a person with a leather jacket, other than maybe John at the Nationals eating it raw on the rocks because he was hungry.
I have found some leather jacket appreciators since. There aren't many of us, but I think we should probably form a group. And I probably will be out to hunt. Anyway,
I think I was just so impressed that like the first time she shot a gun, first time she went spearfishing, she just suddenly got a fish, and I was like, this chick is awesome.
I also remember you telling me, we're just going to go for the shore dive. And I remember we got out, we'd been in the water for like, 5 or 6 hours. And there was a bit of current and stuff, and we got out in front of these dudes who are coming off like a trip on the wharf. And they were just like, it was weird, I remember this, and they were just like looking at us. I don't know if it's because we're girls or because we're on a shore dive. It was my first time obviously going for a dive, and these dudes like were offering us a snapper from this boat trip. And I remember just thinking, I don't need your snapper, man. I just got a leather jacket, my tiny little fish in our float boat. And I remember just thinking, like, why are these dudes offering? Like, now I realise it's quite nice, but at the time I was a bit like, offering us your fish. I've got my own.
They give me a snapper. I've got a leather jacket over here. Don't you know?
Yeah. So I guess that's that cemented my excitement. It was like that whole cycle of like going out with somebody else to have this, like, what might be in the water? What were we going to see? Being able to take a fish home, having the yarns in the car, and then just like exploding into this like world of being a Spearo. And I just remember like asking like a million questions on the way home, and that was it. I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, she has, and she's actually incredible how full on she's gotten to spearfishing, because there is this little thing about Laura sometimes that when she is spearfishing, she also gets violently seasick, and she will be green in the face, like, hanging onto the float or hanging onto me, like having a good time.
Okay, it was like one time. There was one time where I asked, could I brace your shoulder? Okay, and it was for safety reasons. Okay, making me out to be some spewy McGee.
Well, I don't get seasick, but the one time I got seasick was on a catamaran, and I felt like I was dying, and it was at that point I was like, had all this empathy rush over me for Laura, and I was like,
I was watching you too. I was like, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now
I think I peaked before her. But I was just so like, I knew that it was hard, but like actually feeling it yourself, I was like, oh my God, she goes like almost every single weekend as much as she possibly can, feels like this, and still just powers through. Like, how hardcore do you have to get? So I
How
was
stupid.
always so impressed
I
with
mean,
that.
to be fair, most of the time I don't spew all the time.
Not
I have
not
figured
every
out
time.
the seasick pill ratio, but I've just gone through a really bad period of being sick a lot
Yeah.
every dive, and I had a dive recently, and it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't get sick tonight. I didn't even feel sick.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know, there's a bunch of things that come into that. But yes, being seasick is one of the crosses I do bear
So
to get in the water, but is what it
it
is.
kind of just shows me how hardcore she is. So I think it's amazing. And I think the fact that you've pushed through so hard because you love it so much just goes to show, yeah,
Well, mate, I've had a great
it's
mentor.
amazing.
Great mentor. A frothing Spearo gal who was happy to take me out, and, you know, being the level of absolute useless that I've been for a long time,
Not
and you've
true.
still taken me out, and I
don't
do
take
feel
her
like
out
I've had a bit
anymore.
of a quick trip.
We go out.
I feel like
So-
I have had a speedy trip though to, like, you know, a lot of the things that I've probably been able to do and learn and trips I've been on, like, wouldn't normally happen for most people in the first couple of years of spearing. So a lot
Yeah.
of that is thanks to you. So
Wow, it's fun
Thank
to
you.
have an adventure buddy. So besides from leather jackets and being a good burly friend, what is your favourite part of spearfishing?
that's my first automatic answer. Is almost like there's a feeling I can remember whenever I think about going for another dive. Is that feeling you get before you get in the water. So it's like kind of in the car on the way there, it's on the boat or on the swim out, and it's like before you just kit up and you kind of like, you don't know what you're going to see. And so I feel like that pre-excitement of like how different it can be every time, and maybe it's because I'm still new and I'm always seeing like new places and new fish and new stuff.
I think you always see new things in the ocean.
Yeah, but from what I've heard from everyone, that kind of just continues. But for me, it's that, like, that's kind of my favourite part. It's like the pre-anticipation of, like, what might I encounter, what might I see, what might happen, and then, you know, yeah, that whole feeling of that. But then there's this other part of me that's like, oh, like, my favourite thing about spearfishing is, like, the connection to the ocean, the connection to the people, taking, you know, food home, and just that feeling you get of being able to, like, sit down and eat something that I went and got with effort, you know, not easily and not with disrespect, and not just because I want to go shoot up a bunch of fish for fun. It is fun.
It is
But
fun.
that satisfaction of, like, sitting down after a whole process of, like, going through learning and a number of things to be able to even do that and safely do that and happily do that, and letting your body do that and bring a meal back to either, like, your friends or your family or just yourself, and be like, yeah, I went out and got that. I don't know, there's too many parts to spearfishing that I love, but I think, yeah, if I had to narrow it down to, like, that feeling of the anticipation or just that satisfaction you get of being able to, like, bring food, and it's just everything in between, like the whole experience of being in the water and what it brings to my life. I don't know, I find it hard to answer that one.
I mean, from memory, the last, like, almost year that we've lived together, I don't think I remember, maybe once or twice you've actually bought meat at a supermarket. Otherwise,
Yeah.
every night you'd be like, so, fish for tea?
I did go through, like, a little bit of a phase of, or luckily my dad provides me / us
Yes.
with some venison as well as your brother. Venison's handy, and yeah, I went through, I think it was like the second week I went spearfishing, maybe it was out from a leather jacket, and I just thought, you know what, maybe I can not buy any meat from the supermarket. I think I've definitely, like, eaten out meals and, you know, there's other meals I've had, but in terms of my purchasing of meat, I can definitely count on one hand how many times I've bought meat since I started spearfishing.
Countdown,
And-
or Woolies probably thinks that you're a vegetarian. We're out there slaying fish by hand.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just like, it was like a weird little challenge that I didn't even really mean to set for myself, but it became kind of, like, exciting to be like, oh, you know, I'm running out of fish now. I've got no fish left in the freezer. We better go spearfishing again.
Yeah.
And I just kind of continued that, and I really like that aspect of it because it makes me cook with whatever we've got, and I make a meal out of it, and I don't feel like I'm wasting it. And then I also, you know, slightly saving money on going shopping and all that
Hell
kind of
yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I don't know, it's a little accidental thing that's kind of carried on. It's a little fun challenge.
I like that a lot. That's awesome. So, is there a specific memory for you in the ocean that has impacted your spearing journey or your life in general?
I have heaps of real happy memories of the ocean, and like I've always felt really attached to it, and like I just feel at home in it and around it, and it makes sense to me and it calms me and all these different things that I have these memories of. And I'd like to say like some joyous memory of like, you know, catching a wave on a boogie board as a child and how glorious I felt. But actually when you ask about like what's one of my memories that's kind of changed me, it's actually like not a good memory, and it's why I think spearfishing has become quite like a healing thing for me to love the ocean again. I had a number of like surf boat kind of, I guess, crashes when those people who are like into surf life saving and surf boats probably know. Kind of seems a little ridiculous. You are getting in a boat in the ocean with oars sticking out and waves. You kind of expect it to get a bit bashed around.
Everyone doesn't do things lightly.
Meant to wear a helmet and all that kind of stuff. But I did have a pretty unpleasant, I guess, experience at Piha when I was a bit younger, doing some of the big wave surf stuff, and I hit my head pretty badly and hurt my neck. Ended up with a concussion and a bunch of stuff. But during that actual experience, I got trapped under a boat. Pretty hectic there, if you know Piha. I mean, obviously we were living there together in a flat, so most people from around Piha in New Zealand know of it being pretty hectic, so doesn't really take a lot of explaining. But I guess for me, it's like the closest I've ever felt to like actually drowning and just being in a really like difficult, hairy situation where I was like, whoa, the ocean that's been my friend my whole life, that I love spending time around, and my whole life centralised around flatwater rowing and surfboat rowing and all these different activities like amateur bad surfing and just all these things in my whole life were like about the ocean and the beach. And then I just had this yuck experience where I was like, whoa, okay, maybe I can't keep jumping into a boat with my oars sticking out and be okay. And I kind of went, oh. So yeah, a memorable point for me was just kind of, I don't know, like respecting the ocean, being safe in the ocean. I don't know if you'd call that.
It's quite like a big wake-up call.
Yeah, like a wake-up call. And it wasn't like stop doing surfboat rowing, because I carried on. I did it for a couple of years after that, much to my parents,
Did it take you, did it have any, like, after that, did you have any moments when you first got back in that were like, made you quite nervous, or did you just jump back in that boat, and...
Not on the same day, like that was kind of us for the comp anyway, but no, definitely after that I carried on for the rest of the season. I mean, there's really big waves there, so
yeah,
I don't think we faced any other big waves of that time. And I have been back to Piha. I've surfed at Piha with a surf lesson, and I've done surf boats again and stuff, but I think it was just kind of that's a memorable moment for me, because every other memory I have is like a happy memory of the ocean, pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
And then that one was just scary enough for me to be like, okay, this, magical place that I feel so at home with can actually be a really dangerous, scary place.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a memorable one for me, is just that moment. It's quite defining for me.
Yeah, okay.
And the injuries that followed it probably don't help that, because, it's just a reminder that you can go out and be having, like, adventure and be having fun and doing all this stuff with awesome people and living that life, and, one little moment in time can, be quite life-threatening, quite scary, and just have a big impact on the rest of your life, what it did for me anyway. Yeah.
That's hectic. So since then, after doing all the... the rowboats and the surf champs and the surf boats. I guess through that, what does spearfishing now do for your well-being? Like, has it healed that in a way at all? Or
so much, I still, honestly, if my body could hack it, I would still be doing surf boats. Like, I lived and breathed surf boat rowing, I centralised my whole life around that with summers, and some of the people that I met are some of my best friends still to this day. And being a clubby, you don't really stop being a clubby. I don't lifeguard anymore, but it was some of the best years of my life. But because it was such a kind of aggressive, high-paced environment in terms of like getting thrown around in a surf boat, and it's quite sprinty, like it's quite fast moving, like you have short racing and long racing. That compared to spearfishing is like quite different. Like even though you and I compete and I've got onto the competitive side, and I think that's just natural for me to want to be competitive in things I do, there's this whole other side to spearfishing that I didn't get from surf boats, because as lame as it is to say, surf boats, you're on top of the water, like you're seeing the surf, maybe you see some dolphins every now and again, you're racing and you're outside in the sunshine, you live in that beach life, but you're not under the water, you're not seeing what's under there, and it doesn't have the same calm aspect. You're not solo, like you're in a team, there's a couple of you, you're relying on your mates to row at the same time as you to keep you safe. And spearfishing, it's like you can actually do it by yourself. I know technically, you're not encouraged to dive alone. I don't mean like you're alone, but
no, but when you are down there, like
you feel alone,
even though you have your partner there.
Yeah, there's obviously other creatures down there for sure. That's why we're there. But there's that aloneness that you get, and that calmness, and every time is different, and you're exploring and you're doing these different things. And so it's brought this whole other relationship with the ocean for me, because before it was about the waves and how big they were and are we going to get over them, and you're kind of doing this thing that doesn't really make a lot of sense, to be like throwing yourself over in these boats. So spearfishing for me is like just all these different things, like including awesome people and community, and but like I said, all those aspects of being able to bring food for yourself. But I think I found this like unexpected like inner journey. Not to get all like woo spiritual on it, but I'm here for it, and so are some people. But yeah, that like inner journey you go on when you start thinking about holding your breath and closing out all that other noise that you get from the world when you go on a dive, where a lot of people we talk to, and a lot of Spearos mention it, that calm, escape from their normal life, like they forget about their normal worries and all that kind of stuff. I just found that spearfishing just brought so much of that inner kind of work and inner peace that you have to kind of find, I think, most of the time to be calm enough to actually dive well and like see fish and have fish approach you. And just I'm still extremely new to trying to learn to be calm and quiet, especially with things like my tugboat and stuff. I'm just like splishy splashy city.
What's your biggest challenge with spearfishing potentially?
I guess well-being wise, I did ramble there and I went off on a tangent. It brings me a calm that I haven't had before. A lot of the activities I used to do, and I guess the life that I used to live, has always been quite like busy and energetic and fast-paced, and I guess it's the first thing that I've had that's really brought me that calm, other than like yoga and stuff, which is that classic things. The well-being side being there's like full disclosure here to the public, but most people who know me know this about me, but a lot of people don't. So along with things like having some concussions and stuff from surf boats, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, along with some concussion head injury stuff, as well as being diagnosed with ADHD.
She's a whole concoction of fun.
There's a bunch of labels with me, and not to get onto like a big health rant, but when you say well-being, that's what's like, actually there is stuff I want to mention here. And like I said, not everyone knows this about me, but it's one of the reasons that I was so into spearfishing, I guess, because I was like, I found this calm, this way to be active still, because I'm such an active person and I love adventure and I want to get amongst it all and I like want to do it all and I get all excited about it. But I found this like secret kind of calm escape place, and I think I just started noticing like my mind just being calmer, and I just felt like diving was good for me, which sounds really weird. And like I've had like family members, like my dad in particular, mention it. My brother and my mum would probably be the same. Like they were just like, and they've seen me do heaps of other stuff, but they were just like, it's obviously really good for you, and that's like physically but also mentally, just that your whole well-being, like everything about me has been better and benefited from all of the different aspects of spearfishing. And I genuinely think it helps me manage my ADHD, and I mean, most people probably don't know much about fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, but if you do, you do. And with that, it's kind of like joint pain, and like it's all autoimmune conditions anyway that cause a lot of like pain and tiredness, to like just summarize it really briefly. So finding a sport that's like low impact and not really, really hard on the joints, and like a water activity is kind of perfect for that. Like I found swimming really good, but being able to be in the water and, I know we're wearing a lot of gear and we've got weights on, and, we do, when we compete, we go hard and we dive all day for 6 or 7 hours, and you can go pretty hard, but there's been other dives where like, I am managing that condition ongoing. We have to be really careful of like, my energy levels and my health around it, so that I can be healthy to dive on a weekend and have enough energy, and like that I'm not too sore and I'm not like wearing myself out. So basically, the stuff that I deal with health-wise, spearfishing seems to really like complement. I guess it is hard. It is really hard to manage sometimes.
Yeah, of
but
course.
It seems to be like one of the best things I've found for any of those kind of things that are going on for me that have been something I've struggled with like most of my life. I don't know, spearfishing seems to be kind of like a healing activity for me for so many different reasons.
Fantastic. It's pretty special to be able to have something like that, especially that you can go hard with. I know with surf boats you went pretty hard, and to be able to do that with spearing as well, and to go as often and as much as you do, and to be able to get like the rest that you need to be able to dive the time beforehand. It's definitely not something easy to deal with. So
it's low-key embarrassing when everyone else is like, I've had a couple of beers the night before, I had a pie and I'm just going to go like swim for 6 hours, and I'm like, cool man, I've had to like plan out like my sleep and my energy and my food and how much other weights I do at the gym for the 2 weeks before this dive. But but it is what it is, like, and everyone's got the different things that go on for them. But I wish it was a bit easier to just dive all the time.
Yeah.
But it's worth it.
It's so worth
figuring
it.
it out.
Yeah. Well done. I mean, that's a lot to be dealing with on the day to day, let alone chucking in times when your mate's like, hey Laura, let's go to the spearfishing competition. We're going to leave at 9 o'clock and arrive at 2 a.m. Sorry about that. And you're just like, okay, but that means I'm going to have to sleep for like a whole week after that,
It's not that bad anymore. Like, I'm on top of it. I've been managing these conditions for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it just means you don't do some other stuff. And hey, we don't want to undersell me to any future potential competitive partners or teams, Elise.
No, absolutely not. She crushes. Like, she goes, like, I've said it so many times. She goes hard, and it's super impressive. Like, for the stuff that you have to deal with, but then you still go so hard. It's amazing. Like, I'm just so impressed with you. And during all of that too, always just has the best attitude and is always ready to chuck a joke your way. So
even if they're lame.
They're the best kind of lame. It's definitely like lame or in the gutter at times, but it's the perfect amount.
It's pretty cheesy to say, but I think a lot of people, hopefully we get on this podcast, will say the same thing, that like in some way spearfishing has like either changed their life or has this huge, massive positive impact on it. And I think sharing like why it does can be a little bit scary. Like it was just for me, but I think that's what we're here for. We're here to hear why people, like why it's so important to them to spearfish and how it has that impact.
Yeah. So your next question that I have for you is, describe your ideal dive buddy.
But for me, there's a couple of things, and I'm probably going to get slat out about this online, but I need to know I'm not going to get eat up by sharks. So I've got a priority to people
this is true.
who are not afraid of sharks, but I want people to be like, sensible about the fact that like if we're diving together, I just don't want to be always worried about like, I'm always looking over my shoulder because I'm an absolute pussy with sharks, and I always have been.
Untrue. She's been in situations that have vouched for her need to not have a shark right up her bum. So
hey, just because you and I happen to have swum with a great white and we've seen Marcos in the water.
Yeah.
I actually don't like. I'm thinking on a shark right now. I just really don't like bronzies, and I just had so many experiences on my first I think it was my first 10 dives. I dive with sharks every time.
Yeah.
And not every time was like a full-on encounter, but I just had this irrational fear of sharks. And I'm like, I need to circle back to the question now, but I've got on a shark.
So your ideal dive buddy,
Yeah, okay.
shark protector.
Right, okay. No. I want someone I dive with to be, like, there's that half of me that's like, I want this person to be fun to be around. Like, if you're going to, if I'm going to be spewing, nah, but, like, safe. Safe's important, and I've been lucky that I've had people like you have gone on a lot of my first dives with, but I've also had some, like, different experiences where I've had to really be out of my comfort zone, where I, like, learn at our dive courses and stuff for freediving or spearfishing type trainings that it's really safe to always dive with a buddy, and someone should always have their eyes on you, and you dive up, one down, and blah blah blah. Doesn't always happen.
Yeah, that's even something I could get better at. Sometimes I don't see your leather jacket, you know.
But it doesn't always happen, and so I think, like, maybe I'm just a bit of a pussy, but I've never dived alone. I probably never will, and it's not because I'm like, that's irresponsible. I think I'm just too scared, to be honest.
Okay.
And that's all right. I'm honest about it. I'm saying it on the pod.
Yeah.
I want to know that someone's, like, keeping an eye on me. I don't like thinking about the fact that I could be getting a kingy by myself with sharks. And so I think my ideal dive buddy is someone who isn't just going to, like, full on ditch me. Like, I don't want to be so far away from someone that if I do get in a hairy situation, maybe this is just because I'm newish and I'm still, like, growing my skills in terms of doing different things. But I feel like I'm more relaxed if I dive with someone who I feel safe with. And whether that's because I maybe feel like they're keeping an eye on the sharks, or just because I actually think it's also, like, fun to enjoy diving with other people. Like,
Yeah.
I like sharing the stoke with seeing them get fish, seeing me get fish, getting fish together. Maybe that's why I like comps so much, because it's such a team player sport and you're enjoying that experience with someone else. And maybe I'll grow my, like, snappering and stuff where I do get to be a bit more, I mean, I'm getting more and more confident with diving less up people's ass. An ideal dive buddy
Sometimes I look around and she's like, right
up
there.
their ass. Okay, ideal dive buddy doesn't mind me diving up their ass.
Yeah.
Will prod sharks for me.
Yeah.
And we'll get, like, just pumped about lame stuff. Like, get excited about a school of blue mau. Like, we're here, we're in the ocean. Maybe there's not going to be a lot of fish. Maybe it's, like, soupy and it's like a meter viz. Like, I've been on so many dives with you where, like, it's terrible viz. We haven't seen that many fish. Maybe there's just a few leather jackets, but we still have a good time.
We do.
Felt safe.
Like
fun.
blue mau, so underrated. They're the best eating fish. They're so
I've got
great.
all the time in the world for dive people who are just, like, pumped about being a spearo, who want to be in the water. I'll dive with literally anybody who is excited about spearfishing.
Yeah.
That makes a dive buddy. If you're pumped to go diving and you will prod a shark for me, awesome. Let's hang out.
Let's hang out. I love that.
I'll prod a shark for people too.
She has prodded sharks for me, so she is there. So when you mentioned before about competitions, so are you quite competitive with your spearfishing, with yourself, with others, and comps?
I think I'm a little different to you, maybe, in terms of, like, there's a competitive side of me. I think naturally I am competitive. Like I said, I've grown up doing competitive sport my whole life. My whole family are competitive. We're just those kinds of people. And yeah, so, like, on a surface level, yes, I'm a competitive person, but I think it's been good for me having spearfishing where I've realised that you don't actually have to be competitive all the time. Like, I've been humbled because I like being good at stuff. I was always naturally quite good at sport.
Yes.
And that was because
She's
I
an
was
athlete.
just taller and bigger and stronger. And then I got to spearfishing and I was like, man, you don't actually get real good at this just because you're tall and big. Like, there's all these other skills involved. And so that was really good for me to be humbled and be like, I'm not good at this. I have to try really hard to figure out how to free dive. There's all these other aspects of hunting and being in the water and stuff that are harder. And I enjoy the aspect of going on comps. Kind of like you mentioned, like, I don't have a boat. I think going to comps means I get to go to a new place. I might meet new people. I dive a place I've never dived. I get to maybe dive with someone else I haven't competed with before. And everyone's pretty much dived longer than me that I compete with. So I learn off those people. So it's like an opportunity for me to be competitive. Like, I do like having a bit of, like, who got what and who came where, and challenging myself to be like, what fish can I get today, if I've been doing a whole lot of swim training or freedive training, like being able to be like, how tired was I at the end of that day, or did I feel really comfortable? Like one of the nationals I went to real fit, and I've been doing heaps of swimming. We went on a liverboard and did, I say liverboard, we were there for like 3 days on a boat, but like I just
Still
went in
counts.
fit. And so I like that challenge of like getting myself fit and better at a skill. So like it being a hobby and going, right, how do I get better at this? Well, to be better at spearfishing, I've got to work on stuff like my breath hold and all these different aspects. So that part I like to be competitive with myself in. But I also I was actually quite surprised. I enjoyed competitions, because so many people have been like, oh, it's not for everybody, it takes the fun out of diving, it's not peaceful, we don't, people have their opinions, but I was really surprised. I actually really enjoyed comps, because I found that people weren't all about climbing all over the top of each other. They were all pumped that people were there to compete.
Yeah, it's a lot of supportive
ethical people. Good ways of distributing the fish afterwards to communities or for auctions for firehouses and stuff like that. And I was like, cool, so this isn't this big evil death pile fish comp thing. But then going to the women's, I entered in the same section you were in for the women's only nationals just gone this year. And I hadn't done that before, and I'd only ever competed with like you and other people as a pair where you're both shooting. I wasn't really the one making the decisions. I was kind of just there for the ride to learn and be part of it. But going to the women's nationals this year just gone was like a really big challenge for me. So I guess that was that competitive part in it for me, whereas I was like, I don't want to go do something and not be good at it, but I knew I wasn't going to be, because I'd never done a single comp on my own where I was making decisions, and I had a sweeper and I had a safety person like watching me. That's cool, as we know, like a person who can keep an eye on me.
She does. It's like dream results.
Feeling safe. But yeah, that competitive part of me, I think, came out. I was either like, right, I'm not going to like this, and I'm going to decide competition spearing isn't for me, and maybe I just keep doing it for the trips and the fun and going cool places. But I think it's actually almost like flipped a switch for me, where I've gone, right, I'm going to go back to nationals next year in the women's, and I'm going to get more than 4 fish, and I'm going to be fitter, and I'm going to know how to make better decisions about where I'm going to head that day and at what time and what points I'm going to hit.
Yeah, and like, you will.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, and probably being around you and stuff as well, and hearing and seeing your journey for getting into the New Zealand team, and then helping out. I came and jumped on the medic boat, the first aid boat for the Interpacks that was held at Mercury this year, and I got to like witness you guys competing and seeing those like high level teams, and that just makes me more excited about doing competitions. So very long answer to your question.
She, on her way down there, on our flight down to Wellington, said, I just want to get 1 fish. If I can get 1 fish in this comp, I'll be stoked. And then at the end of the day, she's like, I got 4 fish. So
yeah, but it sounds
I
kind of
was
lame,
so pumped. No, it's hard to do, especially in a competition, especially in Wellington. Like, we haven't dove there before.
There's species on the list, I don't even know what the
Yeah.
fish were. Like.
First time you shot a blue cod potentially, right? And like
second time actually, I think we've been on that Wellington comp.
Oh, you did get one.
I did shoot one there, but it was my first whaleable cod and my second ever kahua, which I thought was pretty cool actually.
Pretty cool.
A fish that had evaded me for like the year beforehand, and I got my second one in a comp. I was pretty happy about
Yeah.
that. I don't know how happy poor Trevor Kitchen was to have to be my sweeper, but it was a good time. It was a good time. We swam around. But yeah, competition, I think there's a lot of awesomeness about competition spearing, but then there's also those other dives where it's good not to be constantly wondering, like, is my buddy getting one? Is anyone else on the boat getting a kingy today? And just be like, I'm here to just dive.
Yeah.
I'm here to just be in the water, and
sure.
It's okay to sometimes just not be trying to shoot everything. Which I was a little bit like that when I started.
Depends on your freezer though, eh? Yeah. We're far more selective now. We're like, what should we have for dinner today? Go to the supermarket, eh? So, on that, have you got any upcoming comps or trips or events that are in your sights?
Yes, I'm very, very looming, upcoming this weekend, days away. The Mercury Bay Open. We've done that together last year, which was really cool. It was one of my first comps. I got my second and biggest ever port eye there last year, and we're doing that again. You and I are mixing it up and splitting the dynamic duo.
I know.
Which is totally okay and good for us. We're both diving with one of the boys from the Long Shots kind of group of friends. Which actually we both met both those guys on that Great Barrier boat that we went on. So it's kind of cool that we've formed some friendships from them, and they've become a group of people that when we want to go to comps, we have a bit of a group chat, and we're like, who wants to dive? Who's going?
We're pretty good at forcing our friendship upon people, eh? We're like,
sure.
hi, we're your friends now. And they're like, oh, okay.
Great, another group chat, maybe Laura or Elise asking us to go on a trip or go to a comp. Like,
as long as we wear them down enough, we'll get out on boats, eh?
Luckily, we're friends with most of their partners and their wives and girlfriends who have accepted that we are also going to try and talk them into spearfishing. Yes. Not all of them are about it, but they put up with it.
Yeah, it was true.
So yes, looking forward to
the fish chat gets along. So
you and Jamie versus me and Darren this weekend. I will be getting competitive about it.
You will crush me.
I will crush you. I'm getting excited for you guys, but I'll spend the whole day thinking, I wonder how many fish Elise and Jamie have got.
As long as we beat Laura and Darren, like, it doesn't matter who else is in the comp.
It is it's going to be a cool social time though. There's a bit of a thing afterwards, a bit of a prize giving dinner. And it's a long weekend, so people and we'll do some other dives that we're planning on.
Yeah, we're going to go out to the Alderman Islands on the Saturday.
Planning on going to Oldies. It'll be my second time there. You've been there a couple times.
Oh, I love it
hopefully, fingers crossed, we also have time for maybe a night squid dive. We'll see how we go for the energy levels.
We'll see. Yeah. So if you could go anywhere and catch any fish, what would be your dream fish and your dream destination? And are they all in the same place?
And I do love looking at the gram for fish pics.
Yes.
Hey, just a side note, a little side quest here. I'm sick of all those girls who are like sending me memes, okay? My friends, love you all, about how no one wants to see fish pics.
Everyone wants to see fish pics.
It's not true. Some of us want to see fish pics, okay? I spend a lot of time looking at fish pics. So from there, I've figured out that I would really like to... I mean, there's heaps of cool stuff. Like, we joke about getting marlins, black marlins. I don't actually deeply want to get a marlin. I might take that back one day. But I'd really like to get a mahi-mahi for sure. Those look like epic, cool, beautiful, fun to find fish. But I've also got a bit of a growing crush on, is it wahoo? The long, I know what they look like in the fish pics.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the islands have them, and they're probably really hard to get, and they're probably really fast. But that would be really cool. So maybe in the next couple of years, I can kind of get to a place that actually has those. And get one of those. I know New Zealand have mahi-mahi in some places, but it's not as common. So one of those kind of warm tropo islands to get one of those kinds of fish would be awesome. And I would love to dive in Aussie. Haven't got any trips planned there yet, but that's on the dream trips, is go to some different parts of Aussie and experience all the different species of fish. And, great, all the different species of sharks that are there too, which I'll have to get over, but I'll work through it.
They are the only part of spearfishing is that they are part of the ocean, and so...
I know it's their home. I know they were there first. Whatever.
Right, Laura, so now's the moment. Could you please give us a Dear Diary entry? Dear Diary, what is your most memorable day diving?
The day that Darren took us, we've been talking to him, and you were real frothed out about getting your first kingy, and I kind of just luckily got invited along for the ride. But it will always stick with me as the best kind of so far, the best day I've had in the water, and there's just so many aspects to it. But basically, we headed out to the Mokuhina Islands, the Mokes. It was winter last year. I'd only been diving for a few months at that point. Pretty much the coldest time of year. I think we did some diving, but it was the clearest. It was probably, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to sound like I'm being over zelly here. Was it 25 metres to 30?
Yeah, I reckon it was 20 to 25 because we could see the bottom on some of the areas that were 25.
To that point, I think I'd had hardly any dives where I'd been over 10 metres at the time. Most of the dives I've been on had been under 10 metre viz, maybe 10, maybe 15.
Yeah.
So this was just a mind-blowing day in terms of the clarity and how beautiful it looked. And like looking back, it probably actually wasn't that many fish that day, but the whole day was just like one of those Disney scenes, like beautiful conditions, clear water, like sort of a few of my faves, like the beautiful pigfish and the mau-maus all sparkling away. And yeah, it was just good vibes from the start of the day. Like Darren was telling us a few different tips about things like butterfish hunting. I think we saw a seal as well, and it's just always like little parts of the day that just like stick as like the best day I've gone diving still. But the part of it that was the big deal, I guess, was getting my first kingy.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was like one of those beginner's luck things, but it was really cool because you and I shared that together.
Yeah,
that was and you were off shooting your little pink mau-mau, and I remember having this moment where I was like, I either swim up Elise's bum, as I normally do, watch her shoot some epic fish, and then basically try and shoot exactly where she shoots to get the same fish after her, which was kind of my tactic for a while, not intentionally. And then I saw Darren, he kind of like called me over and we headed off and he was going in a different direction. And I specifically remember him saying, don't shoot the kohuru, because I got all excited. I was like, oh, kois, like big swarm of them. I hadn't seen that many at that point. I think I'd only shot maybe one or two before. And I got like real pumped out about how I was going to shoot them.
Well, because he wanted you to get one.
I wanted to shoot a kohuru, and I remember him saying, don't shoot them, I will shoot one and the kingies will come in. And it's like kind of the first time I'd ever like heard of that concept. Maybe I'd seen it on a YouTube, but I just was like, okay, all right, cool. And we're there, and then like literally the next thing you know, I just see just what I thought was a couple of kingies, and I got to do the whole classic like beginners overexcitement, like a guy didn't take a proper breath, like my heart was like, and I was just like all excited. And I went to go down, I thought, all I remember people saying is like, on your first kingy, just don't do a dumb shot. And I was worried about sharks, of course, because it's my constant paranoia, and I knew that if I did a dumb shot, or like I knew Darren was right there, so I felt pretty safe. And I didn't actually know where you were at the time. I was like, screw it, Elise, she's not here.
I got distracted by pink mau-mau, lifted my head up and realised you guys were on a big school of kois, and I was like, what am I doing here? And then blasted up to you.
Normally I'd just like be behind you, and I wouldn't, I think if I knew where you were, I wouldn't have gone for the kingy first, but I didn't know where you were, and I just thought, screw it. But I went for this first drop down, and I saw them, but I knew I wasn't feeling comfortable, I wasn't feeling relaxed, and I just didn't do it right, and I thought, screw it, this could be my chance, maybe they'll bugger off and go somewhere else, but I'm not, this is dumb, I just didn't feel right to take the shot. I came back up, so I tried to calm myself down and kind of like basically calm myself down. I remember like closing my eyes and being like, okay, so I'm just going to go down and have a little look at them. And I kind of was just like, I can't get them, they're quite deep. I remember just thinking to myself, I just want to go down calmly, I'm just going to go have a look. And I remember people telling me in the past, like if you make a bunch of noise, rattle your gun, ping your bands, grunt, whatever, maybe they'll come in. And I thought, I will give that a whip. And I'd watched this YouTube video the night before, like where you're meant to shoot them. So I was like, this is going to be really embarrassing if I go out with like this dude from Weddy and I'm like, where do you shoot a kingfish? And I'd asked you a few times, and I just kind of like, I watch the YouTube and look at the little picture of its little finny thing on the side. And so I had that in my head. I had this little like diagram off a YouTube video of the fish in my head. I was like, I'll just go down and I'll have a look and I'll do those weird little things, grunty, and see what happens. And the rest of it's kind of this weird blur, and I like look at it on the video and I'm like, man, I'm actually pretty deep. I just kind of went down. I just felt really, really relaxed, and I just opened my eyes. I kind of lay there for a bit, did all the rattling and the grunting, and I remember thinking there was only a couple of kingies, maybe 3 or 4, but as it turned out, I don't know, we were a school of 50 or...
Big school,
and they were all pretty big, but I didn't know what was big at that point. I couldn't tell. I knew that it was big enough to shoot, like I was no way was I worried about it being undersized, but I had no idea how big it was at the time. And it just kind of all came together, and I just felt real calm. I just had like a real good sight-on shot on it, and I took a really good shot, and I stoned it. It went through the side of the gill plate and kind of got stuck. So what threw me is I didn't know I'd stoned it. All I knew is the spear didn't come out the other side, and I look at the footage now and I cringe because I'm going up, and I knew I was doing it at the time. I held my gun the whole time. I kept my hand on the handle. I didn't like let go of the gun and hold the line.
Yeah.
And even the video, you can see in the background, it's like I'm
powering up a
struggling
catfish.
to get up, and this fish is real heavy. It's blatantly the biggest, heaviest fish I've got the whole time I've been spearing at the
Like a
point.
couple centimetres bigger than that pool eye.
Yeah, way bigger than my porno that I got. And I just cringe when I watch the video. But at the time, I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, I've done a bad shot. I can't see the spear out the other side. It's heavy. And everyone talks about how they like take off. I was worried about sharks coming. And I just popped up on the surface. I was excited, but I just had this feeling of like, oh man, like I'm probably going to stuff this up. So I just like yell at you and Darren, I need a second shot. Like an absolute muppet. Not knowing at this point that you've already also just after me shot one, and you guys are dealing with that, and mine's just like pretty much stopped moving on the end of my line.
Yeah, it's just like waiting for her to hold it.
I don't really need a second shot, and I probably should have just started pulling it up, but yeah, and yeah, got all the help from Darren. I didn't icky my own first kingy, which is cool. Probably wouldn't have known what I was doing. And yeah, it was just such an amazing feeling. Like, I don't know if it was because we shared that double stoke, like you and me both got our first kingies, and we were just like, I remember I was just like shrieking and giggling and like, yeah, like the whole way back to the boat and swimming them back. And yeah, they were actually pretty juicy, fat winter kingies too.
Yeah.
Like, I was pretty stoked that, I was just happy to get one. I was happy you got one. And yeah, Darren got one as well. And just like, it was just an amazing feeling, like that first experience. I'd only seen kingies a few times before that, and I'd never seen them in a school. Yeah, it was just like one of those real Spearo life-changing moments. A very Dear Diary, Spearo Diary day, because I don't think you'll ever get that like that same first kingy excitement back of like, I don't know, it's just such a big fish, and it's such a like
so
magnificent, cool fish, and the way they like come in and check you out, and then that whole thing afterwards of, yeah, I don't know.
And then Darren took some photos and then printed them and then gave it to them us on canvas. So
yeah,
not only that, we were able to look at ourselves holding it last year.
I mean, we
get
get ripped out for like having conehead wetsuit shots in our kitchen when we're floating together, and everyone's like, "Oh, lame pictures of you guys and your kingfish in your kitchen." But I thought they were
lame.
cool. Like,
they say that they're not allowed in the house.
no, they said the coneheads were lame. I correct that.
The rest of the house is cool.
Coneheads look lame because we look like old men in our wetsuits. But it was really cool to have that special moment, like on a whole lot of GoPro footage from some of you guys, put into a Weddy episode, given an artwork of it, but all that stuff that came with it, being able to like give like fish back to the people I was living with and the different people that I started out my spearfishing with, and being able to just be like, hey, like thanks, and here's my first, part of my first kingfish, and ringing up my dad and like having the yarns about it, and just even now, like just being able to like recall that special time and tell the story. I reckon that's what it's all about.
Just as excited as then, I think. Oh, that's pretty special. Okay, so the next question is, next few ones just going to be quick ones, Laura. So
I try not to waffle. I do my best.
This is the very exciting thing is that we could just talk to each other for hours and hours. We used to have a curfew. We just forced ourselves to stop talking at a certain time and have to go to sleep.
Luckily for the listeners, these are the only 2 interviews we're going to do of us talking about this stuff, and
I'm sure
we'll have way more exciting people on that they actually want to listen to after this.
So, a couple of small, quick questions. When you first started spearing, if you could go back and give yourself one hot tip, what would it be?
Oh man, I go straight to almost like gear, because I had issues with masks. I think I'm on my like 5th type of mask, and I still don't have it perfect.
Special
but
kind
I think
of face.
take the time to find a mask that fits your face is my kind of gear tip.
Yeah.
But then my other tip will probably just be like, calm down.
Calm down.
Maybe it's the ADHD,
Settle
but
down.
like calm down, like, and just, I guess, like you don't have to shoot every fish you first see. Like I definitely didn't take shots on the first kingy I ever saw.
Yeah.
Which is good. But just to like calm down and kind of remember that you've got like this whole many years or whatever of spearfishing to come, and there's no need to like rush stuff and be super excited. So I don't know. Calm down, Laura. and buy a good mask.
And do you have any dive day rituals?
I've got to get that mop under control. Like if I don't get my hair sorted to get in the suit, it's going to be not a good time.
Yeah.
So rituals is very important, that I can contain the mop. The long mermaid locks need to be contained, but all that other stuff around, like pre-dive stuff, like got to be hydrated. Like if you're going to be throwing up half the day.
Yeah.
Like
stay
anything.
hydrated for that.
On a normal day diving, for a normal person, I feel like being hydrated is key. But particularly for me, like if I'm worried about getting sick or getting funny ears, rituals now around, so I've recently ruptured my eardrum, which you've had to hear a lot about, which is not great, but yeah, all that stuff around just like looking after your ears and your health and your hydration, so that you're equalizing and your ears can like last the day or last the winter, last the summer, keep you diving. Health rituals, and looking after the hair.
And favorite way to prepare fish?
Ooh. Oh, it's a bit of a weird one, and it's probably a bit boring, but I just like frying it. Like, that sounds lame. I love a piece of kingfish fried, and I know everyone's all like,
really well.
Do the sashimi, blah, 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 but if I don't have much other ingredients and I'm just like, I just want to enjoy some of the fish I've got, and I don't really care if I'm cooking for anyone else or trying to impress anyone else with like my cooking, I literally am happy as with like a piece of any kind of fish that I've got, including a pora, because I rate them, butter, salt and pepper, turmeric, maybe a little bit of lemon, fried in a pan. I am happy as with that. It's good. Keep it classic, keep it classic. No fancy dishes from me.
You do cook fish really well, to be fair. So, Laura, last question, last of the lasts. What other things do you do with your life when you are not in the water?
Yeah, I guess we've been rambling about a bunch of spearfishing. I guess what I do with the rest of a lot of my time is I am a art teacher, which pretty much fills my career cup all the rest of the time. Get to hang out with kids and make awesome creations and help kids express themselves in their visual arts. And pretty much love my job, and it's very convenient with the holidays and time off I have to go diving.
That's so cool. I would have loved to have had you as a teacher if I was a young one. So very cool. I'm sure you make them do a lot of fish pics. And today, guys, we're going to do a ocean.
There's a lot of ocean themed art happening in that classroom. Yeah.
And the kids love it. So thank you so much for your time today. It's been awesome having you on. And I'm sure we'll be here next week asking some questions to a special guest that we have coming up.
A real one.
Pretty exciting. We look forward to that. Tune in next week for a Spearo Diaries entry with comp coverage of the Mercury Bay Open. Cheers for listening. We appreciate those of you who have already given us feedback. Feel free to drop us a message or comment on our Instagram. And we would love it if you could give us a rating on Spotify. Catch you next time. Toodles!